It's never been used for processes like this.
They had a contract with MGP,
Oh, that's right.
and
Okay.
that's the only reason they even used it.
He bid against me on that contract. He had that contract.
Anyway, it's something to
Okay,
talk
we're
about.
ready? Okay. All right, good afternoon. I will call the meeting to order. At this point, I do not see Reverend Sid, so please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. All right, as we do not have any proclamations, Tina, could you please call the roll?
Mayor Young,
Present.
Vice Mayor Wilcox.
Present.
Commissioner Greenlee.
Present.
Commissioner Murphy.
Present?
Commissioner Slattery.
Present.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tina. All right, at this time, I will open for a public forum. Persons who wish to address the City Commission regarding items that are not on the agenda may do so at this time when called upon by the mayor. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes. Again, speakers are limited to 3 minutes and should give their name and address when addressing the commission. Any presentation is for informational purposes only. I will open the public forum now. Okay, all right. Seeing as we don't have anyone for public forum, I am closing it now. All right, next, the consent agenda with Mr. Mark Westhoff, our city manager.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. We have 7 items on the consent agenda tonight. The first is to approve the minutes of the December 2nd City Commission meeting. Second is to approve the 2025 cereal malt beverage licenses for B&Z Gas LLC, Stop and Go, Five Rivers LLC, and Van Dyke Grocery Inc. The third is to approve the 2025 tow service business license for Atchison Express Lube and RNS Automotive LLC. Fourth is to approve the 2025 trash hauler license for Diefenbaugh Industries, DBA Waste Management of Kansas City. The fifth is to approve the 2025 updated pay grade classifications and pay plan. This is where we laid out the 4% plus $1 raise for city staff that you all approved, as well as a few title changes that have occurred. The sixth is to authorize the extension of the Pomeroy Development Consulting Contract through December 31st, 2025 at the same rate and terms. We discussed this is for economic development and real estate development in the city with Justin, why am I blanking on his name? Justin Prigent. And we recommend moving that forward to complete the current projects and to move other projects forward. And the last is to authorize the city manager and the mayor to execute the KDOT resolution form approving the proposed urban functional classification system. As we discussed, every year KDOT makes a few tweaks to their roadway classifications. The most significant one for Atchison for this year is that once the U Street Bridge is removed, that will no longer be considered a major road and will become a local road.
Okay. All right, any questions?
Yeah, I'd like to take item 3 off of there and separate it in.
Okay, item 3, both
Tow.
the tow for Express Lube and RS Automotive?
Just Express Loop, as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, all right. Is there any discussion? And is there a motion to move that we separate out or bifurcate Atchison Express Lube from R&S Automotive, leaving R&S Automotive on the consent agenda, and then bifurcating the license for Atchison Express Lube, and then moving that to new business? Is there a motion?
I'll move that.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
I'll second it for discussion.
Okay, all right. It's been moved and seconded that we bifurcate Atchison Express Lube from R&S Automotive and remove the Atchison Express Lube from consent agenda to the new business. All those in favor, please state by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. So we will then move Atchison Express Lube to new business, and I would suggest that this be, we will move this to number 1 and then move everything else down. So Atchison Express Lube will be number 1. Number 2 will then be the 2025 cereal malt beverage license. Number 3, Resolution 3402, and number 4 will be Public Works.
Okay.
All right. So with that being said, are there any other questions regarding the consent agenda?
I move we adopt it.
Okay, all right, it's been moved and seconded that we adopt the consent agenda as amended. Any question or discussion? If not, all those in favor, please state by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, now on to new business, and on that first agenda item will be to approve the 2025 tow business license for Atchison Express Lube. Is there a discussion, a question on this? Commissioner Slattery, you had wanted to move that to item number 1 under new
Well, I've
business?
just had some bad experience with them, and I've had several other people point out stuff to me, and I think if we're gonna license somebody, we should ask them to do some stuff, but we're working on I hope we're still working on a notification of the police department for tows. Still looking at that?
I mean,
We discussed it, we haven't made any movement
To do it?
amend the ordinance.
Okay.
As I understood this discussion before, tow services often are called by private landowners to come to private property
Right.
to tow vehicles that we don't know that they tow. Obviously, if we do one that's either inoperable on a city street or involved in an accident, we obviously know that because we've called them. But they are often called to private property because people have a right to have one that's been left in their yard, in their driveway, in their parking lot that's privately owned. And my interpretation has been that you would like to see the ordinance pertaining to tow services amended to say that when they tow a vehicle from private property, that we're notified that they have that in storage.
Yes, that's and I don't know if it's something the rest of the commission agrees with or not, but in my case, this vehicle, the police department investigated it, and they thought, and I did too, that since the vehicle had been stolen about 2 months before this, and whoever took it kept the key when we found the vehicle. So when it was taken the second time, the conclusion for the police department and myself included was that this vehicle was stolen by the same bunch of kids, probably, whoever took it the first time.
When in fact, it was towed from a private lot.
That's correct.
And then we didn't know it.
We didn't know it. And I went past R&S, and it wasn't there. And I went past Express Lube, and they had covered it up with a tarp so you couldn't see it.
Well,
So then, my checkbook was on the dash of the vehicle. Nobody notified me they had it, and my tow bill was somewhere around $800 in storage. And I didn't have the use of my vehicle for a whole month. And if we had the ordinance to where the tow company would simply notify the police department that they towed from a private property, the police department would have said, hey, yeah, we know what happened to your vehicle. To me, it's just a loophole, and since I think they abused it by not notifying me for 3 weeks.
We wouldn't know anything about the tow part. We did know about the report of the stolen vehicle, but we didn't know it had been towed either.
Right.
But what you're alluding to makes some sense because when vehicles are towed due to being repossessed,
Right.
tow services always come and tell us because they know what's going to happen.
Right.
The owner's going to wake up because they most often do it during the night because they don't want confrontation. It's usually if an out-of-town tow service. So when we talk about who we license, we don't license St. Joe, Kansas City, other tow services. Oftentimes, the financial institution that has a lien on it is from somewhere else, and so they'll have,
They have legal,
they'll
Right,
have it
pick it
towed
up.
during the night. But they always tell us, because they know what's gonna happen. The owner's gonna wake up in the morning and try to report it stolen, and it's really been towed due to a repo.
Right.
And I think what you're describing is a similar
it's just a
situation
very
to where it's
small
towed.
thing. But I've had several people tell me that's the same thing that happened to me, and the same company never did notify. But in my case, I had real reason to believe that the same person that took it the last time took it this time. Because they had to have it to move the car, I thought, because the key, we had the keys. See, we had the keys, and the signs were along the street side. There was 4 signs there, 3 or 4 signs, that said reserved parking. Well, the guy parked it on the other side of the lot. And I mean, whether he should have been there or not, I'd have to agree, he
With-
probably shouldn't have been there.
The only problem I see with that is all of our, I understand where you're coming from, and I'm not blessing anybody here, but if someone from St. Joe comes, if there's even an accident in Atchison, and somebody requests a tow truck,
That's all covered.
but if you have someone come from St. Joe or Leavenworth, they're not going to be guided by the same ordinance because we don't license them. I don't know I mean, it's going to be a dilemma any way we do it.
I don't see any dilemma. Hey,
Well,
I will say it this
Mr.
way, if a majority of the board would like us to look into, amending that ordinance, we can look into that. I do think that there would be some potential procedural issues that may come up in that process, but we can look into it if we receive, direction from a majority of the board to do so. As for this specific business license, I would state that everything about the application is in order. Everything from the company that we have requested as a city for them to turn in to get a tow business license is in place. So I still would recommend approving the business license as in the agenda today.
Okay.
So,
all
Mike,
right.
are you saying that RNS does that currently, but Atchison Express Loop does not do it?
No,
Or
I don't know
you-
that at all. I
okay.
don't know if RNS,
Well, I don't know how we could separate the two.
we
if
don't
one-
have to separate them as far as the ordinance. We'll just, all the vote is
I think-
today is on their license.
Yeah,
Yeah.
This is 2 different issues.
Well, we already approved RNS,
Yes.
right, so next on the agenda would be,
so we would.
we would approve.
We've taken Atchison
You
Lube
can
out.
go ahead and approve that
saying-
Lube separately.
Okay,
Yeah.
but not with any additional
I would make a motion, though,
Yeah.
that we
stipulations.
approve the towing license,
Okay, all right.
and then we
It-
can have discussion after that.
Okay,
fine.
it's been moved that we approve the 2025 tow service business license for Atchison Express Lube. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the Atchison Express Lube for our 2020, in addition to RNS, for the 2025 tow service business license. Is there any discussion on this?
I would just make the discussion that we look at the ordinance. And I know that that isn't a motion or anything, but I just want to put it on the table that if there is a tow off of private property by a local towing service, that they give us the courtesy of calling the PD. I think it's a
Okay.
healthy perspective.
Okay, and Mr. Westhoff, you've said that staff could potentially look
Again,
at the
we're happy to
ordinance.
look into that.
Okay.
I think for cleanliness of the agenda, I think we should probably focus on the license. And then if you all would like to give direction towards anything, you're welcome to do that as well.
I think if staff takes a look at it, and then perhaps in the future, we may think about having a workshop. I don't think that that should be part of this discussion at this point, but if staff could just look at it, that would be great. All right, any other discussion? If not, We are ready to vote. All those in favor, please state by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign.
No.
Okay, motion carries with 4 commissioners voting yes and 1 commissioner voting no.
I will state with all direction from the commission, you're welcome to, send me those communications individually and ask me to look into anything, ask me to ask staff to look into anything. But, I'm bound by a majority of the board, so, if I receive 3 requests or direction to do something, then we will look into that. If I don't, then we'll continue with
So you
the
want that
status
done
quo.
other than somewhere right now?
You can do it now if you'd like, but I'm just saying that if you would like to consider the question and come back later, that's totally fine.
Well, I can see some rationale that Mike is saying here, that any citizen that might have their car towed, they'd like to know where it went.
Sure.
And they don't want to have to go around town searching for it.
How about if we ask
Yeah.
the staff and the police chief to this to see if it's something they can kind of make work for everybody involved, the tow company included?
Yeah, I would agree. So I think
Okay.
with Commissioner Slattery, Vice Mayor Wilcox, and with me, I think you have
Murphy as
3 and probably
Yeah.
Commissioner
Okay.
Murphy.
We will look into that.
Commissioner- So all of us agree.
Great.
That's
Wonderful.
all.
Okay, we will look into
Okay.
that.
I just don't want somebody else to have to pay an $800 tow bill and not have the use of their vehicle for a month. I think it was a sleazy thing to do myself.
Okay, number 2, new business, 2025 cereal malt beverage license for Wilcox Inc., DBA Quick Stop West, presented by Mr. Westhoff.
Very typical of all the other cereal malt beverage licenses we received. This one had all of the requested information. We obviously pulled it out because this business is owned by Commissioner Murphy.
Okay, all right, do we have any questions, or is there a motion to approve the 2025 cereal malt beverage license for Wilcox DBA Quick Stop West?
Also move.
Okay,
Second.
it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please state by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
I
You
abstained.
abstained.
I abstained.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
4 and abstain. All right, number 3, resolution number 3402, obligating remaining coronavirus state and local fiscal recovery funds from the American Rescue Plan Act. And this will be a roll call vote. Mr. Westcott?
As we've discussed previously, the funds that we received from the federal government based through the, what is it called? State and local fiscal recovery funds from the American Rescue Plan Act must be obligated by the end of this year, and they must be spent by the end of 2026. So this resolution outlines that the city received $1,598,733.48 on those funds. We had guidelines for how we could and could not spend those funds from the United States Treasury. And the city commission previously and the staff obligated portions of those funds as outlined. To economic development and housing at $614,450. To downtown facade improvements at $12,500. To nonprofit facility projects at $206,671. And to other internal city projects at $363,290. That leaves a remainder to be obligated of $401,822.48. On December 2nd, we held a workshop between city staff and the commissioners to discuss the best use of those funds to obligate, and at that workshop received the direction to put $200,000 of those funds toward additional nonprofit grants for programs and facilities, and the remainder $201,822.48 to the revenue replacement portion of the ARPA money to be used for city projects to be completed prior to December 31st, 2026. So the resolution outlines all of that, as well as gives city manager the authority to organize how those funds are spent. Obviously, they still come to you when those funds are being spent, but the organization and application of it goes through my office.
All right. Very good, Mr. Westhoff. Does anyone have any questions regarding the resolution, how it is worded? If not,
I think
Yes.
just for, make a public statement that we need to do this or we return the money.
Correct. If we do not obligate the money, we do have to return it to the federal government. The question is a little bit outstanding about what it means to obligate that money. Most places are doing a resolution similar to this to just show we have thought about it, we are obligating it, and then our reporting is due to Treasury Department in April, which will kind of confirm all of this.
But I understand this, that we have until December 31st of 2026.
To spend the money,
Spend the
yes.
money.
We plan to spend it much quicker than that, in part because a good portion of it's going to nonprofit grants, which we're going to open up to local nonprofits early in the year, and then process those applications, and they'll come to you for approval of projects. And then the other portion is for city projects. We have a number identified that would come to you that there's probably not money for otherwise, if not for this money, for, public service.
absolutely. And this satisfies our reporting requirement and allows us to have more time to judiciously spend the remaining dollars.
So the reporting is done in April, the official reporting. So the question for cities and counties has always been, if the deadline's in December, but the reporting isn't due until April, how do we show you that we did this by your deadline? And so that's why these resolutions are being passed around the country as kind of we're pretty sure this will suffice to tell them that we did consider this ahead of your deadline, even if we don't have to report it until April.
Well, I move that we adopt this.
Okay,
There's some generic terminology in here. One of them is revenue replacement,
Yes,
which doesn't mean we're going to spend it on anything specific.
correct.
And the same thing would hold true for the nonprofits that we're going to, we don't have any guidelines that we're going to follow to disperse this money. And I just wondering if those were necessary for the federal government to, and I'm just throwing it out,
We haven't received a lot of guidance on that. Revenue replacement specifically is allowed as a category for organizations like ours who received less than $10 million of ARPA money. If you look into some of the larger cities, they received far in advance of that, and they have stricter reporting guidelines. In general, cities our size and counties and taxing districts that received less than $10 million could use all of it for what's called revenue replacement, which is essentially for city services and city projects. We have chosen to, specify in the past these buckets that we're going to spend it in. Theoretically, we could say it's all revenue replacement and kind of spend it however we want, but we're trying to be a little more transparent here while also giving ourselves some runway to come up with which organizations are going to get that money.
You need a motion?
Yes.
I so move.
okay, it's been moved. Is there a second that?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we adopt resolution number 3402, obligating remaining coronavirus state and local fiscal recovery funds from the American Rescue Plan Act. Do we have any further discussion? Okay, other than I think this is a great thing that we are doing, that we are setting aside money for our nonprofit organizations and then also reserving some for our city projects. With that, Tina, could you please call the roll for the roll call vote?
Vice Mayor Wilcox?
Yes.
Commissioner Greenlee?
Yes.
Commissioner Murphy?
yes.
Commissioner Slattery?
Yes.
Mayor Young?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, Mr. Westhoff. All right, at this time, we'll have Mr. McNamee, our Public Works Director, to talk about Public Works and Utilities 2025 equipment purchases. Mr. McNamee.
All right, so I have 5 pieces of equipment up for consideration tonight, all of which are included in the approved 2025 equipment replacement plan that we call ERP. The first is a new skid steer loader from KC Bobcat out of Tracy, Missouri. It includes a sweeping attachment. We try to replace our primary skid steers about once every 8 to 10 years. We have 2 of them. The second one kind of acts like as a secondary use one. It would be the one that we're replacing, the outgoing one that we would put on online auction, which is a 2006 Bobcat with a little over 5,000 hours. The largest piece of equipment in terms of cost is the new street sweeper from Red Equipment. It's a Ravo 5, which is the current model of the one that we operate now since it was late 2014, early 2015, somewhere in there when we bought it. That sweeper has about 7,000 hours on it that we're going to be auctioning off. The last is a variety of pickups, 3 in all, from Lewis Chevrolet here in town. Chevy Silverado half-ton crew cab for the street department, a Chevy Colorado for the fleet division, and a Chevy Silverado 3/4 ton with upfitting for flatbed and toolboxes and a fuel transfer tank for the parks division. Total ERP budget for all those things included was $537,500. We came in just $15.10 over that, and feel fairly confident in saying that we have sufficient fund balance to absorb that overage. And other than that, I'm here for discussion.
Okay, all right, any questions for Mr. McNamee?
I think Mr. Murphy brought up the fact that we could possibly use sweeper attachment for the Bobcat from somebody here in town. Could we postpone buying that new one until we check that out?
Yes. Yep.
At least a sweeping attachment.
Just the sweeping attachments. Go ahead and
Right.
get your Bobcat ordered.
I mean, my first thought would be like if the commission were to authorize this as presented, we would just maybe delete that and then purchase the sweeping attachment.
And if that doesn't,
Separately.
that doesn't suit us, well, we'd have to come back.
We still have the option.
Okay,
Because I think that's a good attachment. that sweeping attachment. Have we got one now, do you know?
We have a couple different kinds of sweeping attachments. I'm trying to remember if this is I think this is the actual one that sweeps up into a box versus just a broom that
Sweeps ahead.
yeah. So
okay, so I am okay with that, you're okay with, if we, and Mr. Westhoff, are you okay with, okay?
I
As
can look at that.
Okay, all right.
Do you think that'll affect the price of the piece of equipment?
it shouldn't. The
The
it's a
sweeper
state-
attachment is $6,000 of the total,
Yeah.
as quoted.
The machine itself, the Bobcat, it's state contract pricing, so it's pretty well set. And that's what we that's, we're utilizing, kind of piggybacking off the state contract, get that price, so.
Is that what we do on the pickups too? Somebody said they didn't do
A lot
the pickups.
we have done that. I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe Shawnee Mission Ford has the state contract pricing and Lewis came in lower than that. So, for us anyway.
Did you check with any other Chevrolet dealers other than Lewis?
No. I think we reached out to a Dodge dealer, I couldn't tell you which one, and did not get a response.
Okay.
We found over the years there's not much variation between the same dealers, but
Okay, all right, so everyone is okay with approving as written, and then staff will then take a look at the sweeper attachment for the Bobcat
Separately.
separately. Okay, is everyone okay with that? Okay, all right.
I still move.
Okay, it's been moved, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we will authorize staff to purchase the skid street loader, the Casey Bobcat, the Ravel street sweeper from Red Equipment in the amount of $325,000, the 2025 Chevrolet pickups from Lewis Chevrolet in the amount of $124,087.06, flatbed, bed-mounted toolboxes, and a transfer fuel tank from Krantz of Kansas City in the amount of $9,772. All those,
Did you check out and see if there was any other do they want a flatbed or could they use a utility box, you know?
We've been running this particular setup for a long time, so
Yeah, they like it that way.
yeah, it's, you can
Toolboxes,
these are long, they're the length of the bed and they're on both sides. You've probably seen them around if you've seen the Parks trucks pulling the mowers and
but
stuff.
they sit on top of the box, right?
Yeah. And put your weed eaters in there, fuel cans, that sort of thing.
I just wonder how much we're gaining by putting the toolboxes on the side of the regular bed when there's $10,000 almost difference here.
The,
Fuel tax, of course, we could get those, they make them right here in town, so I was wondering if we checked into that, if we make it. They're
I
cheaper
don't believe
usually
we've
on
ever
those
got a
tanks,
price
pumps.
from them on that, but I haven't priced a utility bed in quite a while, but I want to say it's like 15 plus now,
I
nowadays.
got a brand new one, I'll sell you for $1,000.
Okay.
But I don't know if a utility bottle will work for you. If it won't work for you, well, it's not the bargain, you know?
I don't know that it wouldn't work. It's probably a bit of overkill. Usually there's not long enough boxes, although I know you can customize them a bit to get our weed eaters to fit into them. That
The
would
one
be
I've
that.
got's got a lot of little compartments. Might not work for you, but I mean, there's a lot of utility boxes around in there.
Yeah.
They're usually not used, they're not very expensive at all used.
Sometimes it just depends on the personnel you have at the time. We still have this person, but he doesn't quite do the same. Well, he
What about?
did a lot of like plumbing and he still does, but he wanted a utility box, so we had one for a number of years.
Yeah.
And then kind of moved away from that. And
So
now
we got a truck
that
now.
truck went to fleet because they have more use for utility, and then we're back to having just a fleet side for the other. So it just kind
Does
of
the
depends
truck we
on.
got now got a flatbed on it?
We have at least two of the three, maybe three now. I think one might be going away on Purple Wave, but
Yeah.
those the trucks that pull the mowers, the main trucks that do that are usually this setup, the flatbed with the
We
toolboxes
couldn't
and the
take the
trim.
flatbed off the one we're getting rid of because it's only one you gotta bring.
They're pretty ate up because they're also used for transporting the salt product and stuff during the winter when the guys are doing.
All right, any other discussion? Okay,
I just cringe a little bit at the cost of that squeeze.
That seems like a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. We could hire 5 people full-time and buy a lot of brooms.
I don't know if it'd be as efficient.
Huh?
I don't know.
Well, if you just need a flatbed bed, you can buy a flatbed bed, and use good flatbed beds for $1,000, you know, but I don't know whether it'll work for them or not. I just,
Okay. All right, okay, any other discussion? Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor, please state by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. McNamee. Mr. Westoff, Communications.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. In communications, we have the November 2024 financial report. We have the Atchison Event Center November 2024 report, and the Atchison Library Board meeting minutes from their meeting on October 28th, 2024. And then I'll have my update whenever, if you have any questions about those items.
No.
Okay. All right. Just another update on the river levels, which have been shifting and changing a lot. Our crews did place the auxiliary pump in the river last week and removed most of the docks. So we are set up in the event that something unexpected happens and we need to turn those pumps on in the winter. However, the river is at around 12,000 CFS right now, and the Corps is monitoring those levels. They've said that if they need to, they'll release more water specifically for them to break up any ice jams that are forming, although it's been unseasonably warm. At the same time, I just want to note that lower water levels like this require our water treatment staff to remain nimble and kind of, monitoring the ever-changing water quality. As levels go down, water quality changes. And so I wanted to give them a shout out for doing the good work to keep our city water fresh, which they are doing. So an update on the airport runway project. The gas company is currently bidding the gas pipeline relocation project that we've talked about. So once they get their bids, that can move forward as well. In the meantime, there have been crews out there working on some grading projects to kind of keep things moving until that gas line can be relocated. One update, they were working on a drainage area outside of where the runway will go, and they encountered an unexpected pocket of buried trash from the old landfill. It's not where it's supposed to be. And so they kind of stopped, and we let everybody know that we need to see what we should do here. And right now, the plan is to go ahead and bury an underground drainage pipe in that area instead of dipping the grade down as far so that that trash can stay in place and the pipe will be the drainage from points above. So project is always ever-changing. When you're on an old landfill, things can be a little interesting, so.
Will the runway go over this area?
It is, and so the area, previously we've done what's called dynamic compaction on the old landfill areas where a giant crane is out compacting the ground where the trash is to make sure it's stable, and the levels drop and we fill it, and so that's already happened. This area, again, was outside of where we were expecting to find anything, so.
I was hoping you say they found buried treasure.
No, depending on your perspective maybe, but.
That was all right.
We can pay for a lot of things with that.
Sweeper.
An update on the, oh, sorry, yeah, not a trash sweeper, no. An update on the South Headworks project, which is part of our sewer stormwater separation projects that are ongoing. We've been waiting for nearly a year to hear back from the railroad company on a proposed new design that would satisfy them, and we did hear back from them, so we are now able to move forward with that project and are looking to put out bids in January for the South Headworks
And that was a
reconstruction.
favorable response from the railroad?
Yes, they are okay with the new design, so.
I'm sorry, where's this at? I'm not familiar with this project.
This is down near, it's near the railroad and kind of close to Bradkin. It's a complex of sewer and stormwater inlets and transfers. It's, as far as I understand, the history of it was built in part to handle some of Bradkin's industrial use there. The engineering plans for it are very complex, but it needs to be upgraded and portions of it replaced. Is that pretty accurate?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's okay.
One of the main.
Right. Yeah.
There are
Yeah.
bit of mystery. We got a plan. Stuck in limbo.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Chief Weiser emphasized again that this month is on pace to be one of the busiest months on record for number of calls, notably for lift assists for aging residents. Not much that we can do about it, except, be neighborly. I don't know. Reach out to your neighbors and see if anyone needs help, in non-emergency situations, but we're also happy to respond, obviously, when we need to, so. And finally, I just wanted to give a quick update on the Amelia Earhart Bridge lights.
Yes.
As many of you know, and as many residents know, the lights are no longer operational. Chief Weiser has been spearheading an effort to look into what it might take to replace the existing system with something new for some civic pride on the bridge, which, as we've seen from the photos, people really like them. He's continuing to look into grants and local partnerships for that, but we are also going to be adding this as a question on our upcoming community survey in January. So we can get the opinion of residents on the Bridge Light project, see if it's something that they want to pursue or not. And if the project does look viable, I just wanted to kind of let people know that we may look at a consulting agreement with an electrical engineering company to make sure the project's done correctly in the design phase, so that the issues we encountered with the existing system don't happen again with a replacement system. So just something to keep on your radar. It will be in the community survey, so if anybody asks you about it, please encourage them to fill out and return the community survey so we know how they feel about these and other city projects.
Can we put on that, well, how much?
Yes, we will put
How
on,
much money we want to spend?
yes, we will put on there,
Very nice if we just ask everybody, would we like to have a pretty picture? Would we were to pay $1
yes.
million for this picture? Big difference.
Yes, the answer is yes. We will have
Good.
it's an estimate, obviously. We don't have anything in stone, but we will put in a price estimate for that. Couple notes, that the city had their Christmas party. It was a great success by my standards. A few of you were able to attend. I wanted to thank Laura McNamee and our Employee Appreciation Committee for putting it together. They did a really wonderful job. Note on Christmas time, the admin office up here will have employees, including myself, in and out, taking some time with family. But we are ensuring someone will be here every day. So if residents reach out and they don't get a response right away, maybe try another staff member. We'll try to have messages on our doors and emails and everything. Yeah, and then at the end of the year, I just wanted to thank the commissioners and the residents here for putting their trust in me and welcoming me into the city. And it continues to be a wonderful place to live, and we look forward to keeping it that way into the future. So, Merry Christmas.
Wonderful. Merry Christmas. Thank you, Mr. Westhoff. You've done a marvelous job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. Gentlemen, governing body comments. Commissioner Greenlee.
I'd just like to echo what City Manager Mr. Westhoff commented on the employee Christmas party. Attended, and it was had good attendance, and seemed like everyone was having a good time. Food was good, and good company. Enjoyed it.
Excellent. Vice Mayor Wilcox.
I just hope all of our citizens have a Merry and blessed Christmas season. Although I like the 50-degree weather.
I'm sure you do, as do I. As do I. Commissioner Slattery?
Yeah, we had a great Christmas party. It was neat to see all the employees of our city. I know what a young crowd they were, and be there. Merry Christmas to everybody.
You're one of the oldest people there.
I was, my wife pointed that out to me. That's sad. We should have some younger people doing this job right here, so my retirement home. You gotta recruit younger people here. Yeah, that's for sure.
Yes, yes. Commissioner Murphy.
Well, I have a couple things. One of them you brought up was the lights on the ridge, and I have been inundated, that's the right term, with people asking me about the bridge light. And I said, on the radar, it's being discussed. Anyway, that's one of the things. The other thing that I was thinking about here, when we do this, we look at this towing service thing, that we look at all aspects of it. Number one, who the towing companies are in town. Number two, the people who are having the cars towed. I agree that you should be able to tow a car off your property, but should we? You can't mandate that, I don't suppose, but make sure these people say, "I've had a car towed off my property." If we can build that in, I don't know if that's possible. You can't probably mandate that, but that's just. I was thinking about. There's more than one party involved. There's the people whose property is getting towed off of, the people who own the vehicle, and the towing company, and our police department. So we've got.
I think we're getting too complicated there. If we just
No,
have just the tow company, they're the ones that are involved, and that'd be real simple to do. It'd
The
just take them a second.
only trouble with that is that it's only going to affect the people who are licensed with the city. And there's going to be tow companies coming into town that don't have to make any reports.
I got a comment. So I would assume the tow company, chief, can only tow the vehicle if they're in violation of something. I can't just call somebody and say, hey, tow that car over there.
Yes, you can if it's on your property.
Well, if it's on my property.
That's what we're talking about.
That's the only way to happen.
Yeah.
What about in the street in front of my house?
That's when we do it. We're the only ones.
Okay, so the tow company knows that.
If they don't, they'll learn.
We know where it's happened because we called them.
The other situation where it might be towed off of the street or from a public area is repossession, which we talked about.
Nobody's going to
That's
see
another
it.
character.
Other than the police are going to call tow service to 500 block and have a vehicle towed, they would have no authority, no reason to. Never happened.
Okay.
Public property. But you know, there's some public, not public, parking lots that are accessible to the public that are private. Walmart, for example. There's one next to what I call the Safeway, you call Community Corrections, Dollar General. That's a private parking lot.
So Walmart can call the tow
Yeah.
service and say,
Yes.
this car's been sitting here 2 weeks.
Yes.
Take it away.
I think they have to have a sign up, don't they? That was,
If you have somebody pull into your drive, I'm not saying that you would, but you can have somebody pull into your driveway and you wake up in the morning and they're towed, yeah. That's done once in a while too.
Well, what I was gonna say to Bill, though, I don't know that some people would want their name on that form so that somebody doesn't come back.
I see your
after
point.
that.
Something to consider.
Bill Murphy had my car towed, I'll teach him. You know?
Yeah.
And Bill, you've had that, you know what we're saying here because you've had things on your lot.
Absolutely. But I also felt it my responsibility to inform. It's no different than, when we have an issue with someone at our property, if we have God save them.
unruly person.
Well, if you have a homeless person, which we've had numerous people spend hours and hours at our store, and you don't want to be confrontational, but you want to solve that problem. And I see the same situation with towing of a vehicle, except it's a vehicle instead of a person. I'm just trying to make a circular thing instead of,
I just want to say that Chief and I will
Yeah.
look at
that's fair.
all factors involved and
And if
try
you
to
can't-
come
if
up
you
with
can-
something
Yeah.
equitable and reasonable.
Yeah.
And I still have one more thing.
Okay?
We had talked a little bit about the sawmill CSO.
Yeah.
Any more eyeballs put on that?
The sawmill, well, yes, it's one of the projects that we are keeping an eye on and working on. Yeah, that one's a little more complicated, but yes, it's something we're working on.
I just want to make sure that it didn't become stagnant.
No.
And one more thing.
Yes,
Merry
Commissioner.
Christmas to y'all.
Okay, wonderful.
They should never get to that.
Okay, thank you. All right, I will echo everyone's comments. Merry Christmas to everyone and happy holidays. Thank you, especially to our city staff, to our emergency workers. You've done a marvelous job this year, and we thank you. I'm particularly excited and proud of the fact that as a body, we were able to increase salaries by 4% and $1. That certainly was needed, and we certainly appreciate everyone. So with that, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And do I have a motion to
I'll
adjourn?
make such a motion.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second it.
All right, it's been moved and seconded that we adjourn. All those in favor, please state by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
My
Merry
wife
Christmas.
advised me I should have wore a red coat.
That's why I wore red.
We can
Yes.
talk for 11 more minutes, Mike.
Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas.